So what happens is the buyer is buying through the buy box. So they go in, they're just conditioned to believe used books are cheaper than new. So they're not looking at the new buy box or Amazon's price. They're going, I want used. They almost always buy from the buy box. That's where most of the traffic goes through. They just simply go add to cart, like Greg Murphy says, like a monkey. They just click add to cart and the book shows up.
What's happening, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit over at RaikenProfit.com. Coming back to you with another video. I'm here with Caleb Roth. Good to have you, brother. And we're shooting a bunch of videos today. And I had a good friend of mine who, his name's TJ. He's selling over 1,000 books a month right now. Matter of fact, he was on the channel, I think a little less than a month ago. And it was like the 18th of the month. And he had already sold over like 600 books. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll put it right up here somewhere. But TJ, he is from, we're in Connecticut. I believe he's from Massachusetts, Boston area. So he's about 3 hours away. And he knew that you were in town. So he hit me up and he's like, Steve, I'm selling like 1,000 books a month. He's been doing it for a couple years now. He's having a lot of success. He's full time, but he's like, I got all these questions. Like, I look up to Caleb. I've learned so much from him. And Caleb, he's the founder of Scout IQ, eFlip, the book flipper community. So definitely a pillar in the reselling community. And he's like, Steve, hits me up. He's like, I got to come over, man. I got these questions. And I said, all right, I'm gonna let you come over, but we gotta do this on video because—
no pressure.
No pressure, but we're gonna mic you up and everything. So this is gonna be a really cool video. In about 30 seconds or so, I'm gonna vanish and TJ's gonna be in my spot. And it's just gonna be a really cool organic conversation. And I don't know, man, he knows his stuff. I don't know if you've ever been in this position, but have you ever been stumped on camera before?
Not usually on camera. I usually do my homework. We'll see what happens. There's certainly things I don't know, and we'll see if TJ can expose those.
Awesome. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm gone.
So we've got TJ. This is awesome. This is how to meet somebody. TJ and I just met. He actually walked in during one of our earlier videos.
Interrupted it.
Interrupted it. Not rudely. He was nice. He knocked. So TJ and I have just met. I haven't looked over this. He did his research. One, he brought gifts. Anytime you bring a gift, so he brought me some IPAs, did his homework, knows I like coffee, beer, and golf, so he brought one of the three. He's on my good side. We can definitely be friends. And secondly, he did his homework. So he actually brought, I'm not kidding, he brought a notebook, a little folder, and several pages of typed out questions. So I haven't looked at these where he's just gonna ask me these questions. This will just be kind of an open dialogue between the two of us. I don't know what he's gonna ask me. I know that he just drove 3 hours to hang out, and that's really humbling. So hopefully I can provide some value to you as well as to the Raiken Profit channel. So.
Sweet.
All right, we did not prepare for this. Cool. We've literally met a couple minutes ago.
Exactly.
And if this goes on too long, I'll probably start drinking a beer.
Yeah, right.
So, cool. Well, hit me. What do you got?
All right, so spread into, I have tracking spreadsheet questions, eFlip questions, Scout IQ questions, repricing, and just random book questions.
Cool. Where do you want to start?
We'll go with the tracking spreadsheet. So,
okay, real quick, those that aren't familiar, the tracking spreadsheet is essentially a full accounting program for Amazon sellers. It's really built for books. That's my game, but it works for anything on Amazon, and it gives you an income statement. Your CPA will hug you at the end of the year. It lets you see kind of your metrics for sources. If you sell on consignment, it's a must. And a lot of you out there are using it, and you are as well.
Yep.
Okay.
I just started using it in June, actually, because I mean, accounting for me is probably my biggest weakness. I'm just so focused on sourcing books that the whole tracking kind of gets, you know.
Yep, that's exactly, you're exactly why I created it. One, it was just for me to scratch my own itch, but then also, like, accounting's tough. You know, when you run your own business, you have to wear a lot of hats. You got to figure out accounting, if you're going to manage people, listing, sourcing, those are the easy parts, but the rest of the business, how to make sure that you're being compliant, sales tax, some of those things as well. So yeah, hit me. Let's see if we can't clean up some accounting.
So I just started using it in June. My question is, I downloaded the sales data July 1st.
Yep.
So I have all my listing data for June, so downloaded the sales data. Should I have waited like a few days for any pending sales in June, or is it okay to download it like July 1st for the June?
You can download it July 1st. What you don't want to do is overlap the days. So Amazon, it doesn't show up in the sales report from Amazon until it actually ships. So your pending orders, they won't show up there quite yet, but then if they ship July 2nd, they'll show up then. Okay. So when you go back and you go, let's say once we get to the end of July and you go throw August data in there, you can go up all the way through the end of the month. So personally, I pull my numbers once a month on the 1st of the month. So July 10 or 11 today. On July 1st, I pulled for all of June. So June 1 to 30. I put that into the spreadsheet, click the update data, and let it run, and I won't touch it again until August 1st.
Okay, cool.
So, yep, just make sure you don't overlap.
Yeah, just don't overlap it.
Yep.
Okay, so all my like active inventory from the past few years since I don't have any listing data for that, is that going to like mess up any of the like algorithms, so to speak?
Yeah, so there's 2 data streams that you're getting. One is the listing data. What are you using to list?
I was using something else before, but ScanLister only because of the tracking spreadsheet.
And when did you start using ScanLister?
June also.
So you just started.
Yeah.
So what you should go, there's an active listings file. You found that. There's a converter file. You can grab the active listings report, throw it in there. The downside is Amazon doesn't track your source and it doesn't track your buy cost. So you don't have that info. You can get SKU, date listed, price listed, and I don't think it has rank either. So you basically just get how many items you've had, when you listed them, and that's it. So what you should do is run that report once. You don't want to overlap and keep doing it. You're going to get your data from ScanLister now. But run that report once. If you want to go back, if you're ever bored or sitting there watching Netflix, go back in and try and add the sources back in as much as possible and add rough buy costs in, because that's going to help you with your cost of goods sold.
Okay.
Moving forward, your process, actually ScanLister has a one-click export. You can export all of your batches at once or individually.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've been doing them individually.
Individually is fine. Like for me, like my workflow, and my wife's really good at this, at being detailed. So we use Accelerlist, but very similar to ScanLister in that every batch after you're done, you're going to get your source, your SKUs, your buy cost. Those are the important things. Export it. I just throw them into Google Drive and I leave them there. And at the end of the month, so on August 1st, I'm going to take all of those reports and I'm actually just going to copy paste each one into the tracking spreadsheet, into the listing data tab. Then I'm going to grab my Amazon report, drop that in, and then all of those reports in Google Drive, we have a file that says completed, drag all of those into completed, and we wait until it fills up next month. And Avery, I know you watch him as well, he's been really getting on me about hiring VAs. So I'm actually going to be training a virtual assistant to do all that for me.
Oh, okay.
Then I'm not trading my time for money, I'll have somebody else do that.
Awesome.
So I export your batches after you list them, throw them in Google Drive, that's your catch-all. And then once a month, or if you want to do it twice a month, pull all those in and go from there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then I guess following up with that, so when I'm exporting it, I include the shipping, but do I include the like FBA manual processing fees if I have any?
All of the fees actually show up in the sales report automatically. So inventory placement, labeling, if you get charged a fee, all of that will show up already, including inbound shipping. So you don't have to. The only reason you add it in there is just if you want to see like, hey, if you shipped 50 books from eFlip, for example, and you want to know what the shipping to Amazon was, you can throw it in there to get more accurate batch metrics. Okay. So does that make sense? It'll help you,
gotcha.
But it's already being tracked on the back end and it won't double count it. So it's really just for your own info if you want it.
Okay.
But it's not necessary.
Cool. I just noticed this. I haven't been using it too often, but I noticed the international sales tab, which is pretty cool. I never. What's a good percentage for international sales from like a typical US?
Yeah, so we actually talked about this just on the last video. So Amazon is I'm guessing you're part of the global export program?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys don't do that, you can, I'll just give a shout out. Go to thebookflipper.com or just Google how to get a worldwide or a global Amazon business in 2 minutes. And I got a blog post that walks you through it. There's just one setting, for whatever reason, it doesn't just show up naturally. You can literally say, hey, Amazon, go ahead and ship any of my items outside of the country, and Amazon will do that. So you've obviously done it. I'd have to look at my data. We can do it before we leave. But I think I sell anywhere from like 5 to 8% of my books outside the country.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I looked at mine. It was right around 5%.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a 5 to 8% bonus on your Amazon business by clicking a button in Amazon. So what it does is I don't have to ship my inventory to Germany. It's sitting in a US warehouse. But because I'm part of this program, I think it's called the FBA Global Export, somebody in Germany, when they go to Amazon, can see my books and see that worldwide shipping is available. They pay for shipping. Amazon handles all the export, excise, whatever that process is, and we just get more sales. So yeah, 5 to 8%, I believe, but let's check it before we leave.
Okay, cool. All right, so now some eFlip questions.
All right, switching gears, no more accounting stuff.
Yeah,
all
eFlip. Right. So I'm noticing like a lot of your tutorial videos, when you're searching for a book, you search maybe between like $15 and $25.
Yep.
For what you want to pay. Why wouldn't you do it from like a penny to 25?
So you can. I like to look in narrow ranges Because if you're doing like say a penny to $10, for example, then you're going to be looking for books that you can sell for 30 or higher. If I'm going all the way up in the $25 range, so 15 to 25, I'm going to be looking for books in the $40 or $50 range. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to zone in and just find books that are between 15 and 25, knowing that I can get at least 40. Because a $5 book, I don't need to get 40, I can get 30 or 25 and be okay. The other reason is there's not a lot of books in the penny range, not anymore. Most books bottom out in the $5 to $5.50 range. Every once in a while, you'll find some prime books mispriced that are at a penny. So it is actually worth looking at, but I like to look in windows. So I'll do like a penny to $10, $10 to $18, 15 to 25. I kind of stair step it up.
I see.
And then so in that range, $20 to $30, I might be looking to try and sell it for 60 or 70 prime, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just like to look in narrow windows.
Okay, I see.
I call it, we keep using fishing analogies, Raiken and I did, but I call it fishing at different depths. So I'm going to look at really cheap books, and I only need to get $20 to $25 prime. If I'm finding $50 books or $40 to $50, I want to sell it for 99 or higher.
Okay.
So that's kind of the thought process there.
Cool. So when I use eFlip, I pay for like a third-party restriction checker.
Yep.
Is there any way that like in the future eFlip could somehow sync with like our Amazon account so that you'll know right away without having to?
Yeah, we probably should. So the reason like scouting tools don't do this very much, and same thing with like eFlip, is Amazon doesn't give us that information for your account in the API. Okay. You have to actually scrape the Amazon page in the background. So you'd have to do a Chrome extension is probably the best way to do it. Should we add that? Yeah, probably. Right now, which extension are you using?
I think it's called Check Permissions. It's like $10 a month.
Okay. I know AccelerList has one as well. I don't know if, I believe it's free if you have AccelerList, although you're a ScanLister guy. Hasten, Abe Green has a tool as well. I think it's 15. I think he's going to raise it up maybe 20 bucks a month. And it does a number of other things for researching as well. But yeah, we just have to spend some money and make a Chrome extension if we're going to do it.
Okay, cool. All right, so Counterfeit Books.
The $1 million question. Right? Here we go. All right.
So, I mean, it's not super often. Maybe out of every 20 books, 1 or 2 seem a little sketchy.
Yep.
And these are from like bigger booksellers too. They're not from, just like a
new
rated,
yep.
yeah. Yep. If I ever so I always send them back.
Yep.
But if I ever didn't know it was counterfeit, because some of them are like really good, if for some weird reason I ever got caught or something, would I have any backing proving that I bought it from like a merchant?
Unfortunately, no. And I don't want to get too crazy into this topic, just because there's a lot of legal ramifications. But I will say this. So one, counterfeit books, what are they? So there are some fake books out there. Again, textbooks that are, a lot of them in the US are $100, $200, $300 as they get into it. So let's go back. Let's talk counterfeit books. Again, they're expensive books. Have you been out of the country?
When I was little, yeah, not recently.
So if you ever go to anywhere, like South America, Mexico, Asia, anywhere, there'll be these markets that pop up and you can go buy Oakley sunglasses, although they're not really Oakleys. You could buy Rolex watches for $10. They're not really Rolexes, right? So there's knockoffs. They're knocking off these expensive brands. Same thing in the textbook world. So a book that's $100 here, somebody in India or Thailand or some of these cheaper countries can set up a print shop, make the book for pennies, and ship it back to the US and sell it for $50, new or very good or however they want. And they can flood our market because instead of $150, a student can buy it for $50. And it's not authorized, it's not made by the publisher, it's a knockoff. So those are out there, and that's just because textbooks are expensive, and so there's a business opportunity. How to tell? Probably the best website I can refer you to is stopcounterfeittextbooks.com. Have you heard of that one?
I think I've heard of it, yeah.
So the main publishers that are part of this whole weeding out counterfeit process, they've hired a law firm called O&Z, Oppenheim and Zobrak, something like that. So there's a law firm out there. They put this website together to try and give us as sellers information on it. And so they give you what to look for, how to tell if it might be counterfeit. Typically the page quality is not as good. The binding, if you look at it, usually you got the glue here. That'll be gloppy and irregular. But honestly,
blurry barcodes and stuff too.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the feel of the paper. This is printer paper, right? You can feel that. It's rough. That's not a great sign, although a lot of books are poorly done. The issue now is a lot of these books are getting really, really good.
Yeah,
and sometimes they look even better than the original. So when in doubt, don't. That's kind of my rule. I would always return it. One of the benefits of buying books on Amazon to flip or resell is that you can always return. I wouldn't necessarily throw somebody under the bus and say it's a counterfeit book unless you're 100% sure. Remember, it's another seller on the other side. Try and show them some common courtesy. But you can return it and just message the seller privately and say, hey, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel comfortable trying to sell it or resell it, and maybe go that route.
Okay.
But yeah, when in doubt, don't. And if you sell that book, even though you bought it, even if you can prove the chain of commands, I've talked to the lawyers, I've talked to some of the people involved, some of the bigger companies, and the argument doesn't really hold up. Here's my conspiracy theory for those that like that. I think we walked on the moon. I don't really get into those. But my conspiracy theory is the law firms don't really care as much about weeding out counterfeits, although I'm sure they do. They're more concerned with trying to kill the used book market. So they're going to order your book. There's some test orders. They usually go to Rockville, Maryland, out here on the East Coast, and they'll buy your book. And if they call it fake, they'll just say it's fake or counterfeit. They'll file a rights thing, and you might get booted off from selling popular textbooks, whatever that means. So they are trying to police the market. I'm not so worried about a third-party buyer buying it. But again, the last thing you want to do, if you have any doubts about it, don't sell it.
Gotcha.
So and that's why the restriction checker does come in handy. There are some books, too, that almost no sellers are allowed to sell. Even if you are approved in popular books, popular textbooks, they're just very commonly counterfeit, like the DSM-5. If you've seen those.
I've seen that, yeah.
Public Speaking by Stephen Lucas, or The Art of Public Speaking is very commonly, it's a black book. Leadership by Northhouse. There's several books that are counterfeit, and most sellers do not have permission to sell those, and you should probably stay far away. So cool. Unfortunately, they're out there. Yeah. I'm trying to get some of the law firms actually to come on and do some videos and help people learn how to identify. That would be really valuable, but I haven't gotten them to commit to that yet. But if they can, I'm really interested because I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to clean it up.
Yeah.
They're out there, and unfortunately, if you buy one, even if you can prove I bought it from this seller, they're going to say, nope, you sold it. You're on the hook. Gotcha. Yep.
Let's see where how do you feel about like buying merchant fulfilled books from UK sellers?
Love it.
You do?
Most buyers aren't going to buy those because from the UK, it's going to take 7 days, 10 days to show up. So World of Books is over there. There's some Goodwill. I don't think there's Goodwill. Better World Books UK. There's several bigger sellers. I love buying those because they're usually cheaper on our market. They might be $15 when the next lowest merchant fulfilled price is $20. And it'll say, warning ships from the UK might take 7 to 10 days to show up instead of 5 days. So a buyer that wants that, again, a lot of people love Prime. They're willing to get it quickly. If you're willing to sit on it and wait 7 to 10 days to get it, no problem. Buy it up cheaply. A lot of times they have multiple copies and then you can flip them. So I love that. If you're willing to do what others won't, whether that's going to the bottom shelves in thrift stores, typing in ISBNs manually, doing the work that other people are too lazy to do, or in this case, waiting extra time, sure, earn that profit.
Gotcha.
Yep, I love those.
Let's see. How do you feel about like using eFlip without the Keepa subscription so that you don't have like the sales rank?
You've got to have the sales rank. Without having some of that history, you're kind of flying blind. And if you can afford eFlip, you can afford Keepa.
True, right?
Yeah, so Keepa, for those that don't know, they started charging for their data. You can see the charts, you can see the price charts, but you won't see the rank and know what it sold for. On textbooks, you might be able to get away with it because you pretty much know if the price is going up, demand's going up. So you might be able to get away with it. We do have some of this data, and if we ever get around to a Chrome extension, we should just throw our own data into it, and then you wouldn't have to pay for it. Kind of be an all-in-one. But yeah, if you can afford eFlip, don't be what is it, penny wise and pound foolish. Pay the money. Very little investment. I think it's 15 or 17 euro, maybe 20 bucks a month, which does add up. But if you're serious about it, it's going to help make you a lot of money.
Cool. Let's see. So I usually try to buy like 5 books a day on eFlip. I'm not like huge. It's just like a small part of my business. But
and you do that every day, Monday to Friday.
Weekends I do it like usually after sourcing after a long day. So I just kind of
grab
go
a
on
beer
it for a little bit. Yeah.
We do actually promote drinking and eFlipping. That's fine.
There you go. Right. Uh-oh. I'll make sure to keep my slider low so I'm not going after $200 books, right?
Actually, a really good point, though. Go in and, like Matthew's doing a challenge right now for the eFlip challenge. And the idea is go in consistently. Whatever your budget is, whatever your time allotment is, the challenge is we think, oh, I have to go in, I'm paying the subscription, I have to do 100 books a day, or I have to just spend all this time and get my value. It's more about just being consistent. Because if you forget a day and you start shaming yourself going, I have to go flip books, do 2 a day. Do 5 a day. Spend a budget. Try and spend $100 a day on eFlip. That's a great tactic.
Cool.
But go ahead with the question.
So yeah, going into that, like, is there a limit on how many like USPS items I can get shipped to a residential
I haven't found it yet.
Okay, because like my mail lady.
Do you
like,
live in a condo or apartment or something?
Just like regular residential house.
Oh no, they'll ship anything. We used to get them to bring the mail bins, and they would drop those off. They're not like, sometimes they get salty. They're getting paid to deliver it, right?
Yeah, because my like mail lady's like, I'm on her hit list, I think. So.
I would. So you're not supposed to bribe government employees. There's some limits there, but give them some cash, give them some gift cards. Try and treat her nicely if you see her. A lot of times, if I see the mailman roll up, I'll actually run out there and help unload, especially if I'm getting a lot of boxes of multiple textbooks. So be nice, but it's their job.
Yeah, true,
I mean,
right?
What are they going to do? Not ship them to you? I've never heard of people
She's like this old
trouble.
lady, really like skinny. You know, like she picks up the thing.
Yeah, the nature of mail now is different. You know, they used to have the mail bag and go door to door,
exactly.
and now with Amazon, everybody gets packages delivered. So those good old days are over. It's not a walking route, is it? For her, she's got a truck. It's fine.
I got a long driveway too. She has to go on that.
If she complains too much, someone else will take her job.
Right.
No offense to mail carriers, but.
And that was actually, I emailed you, I think it was a few weeks ago, and you responded right away. So I'll give you excellent customer service. Right. I don't know if you remember about the weight of the book slider.
That was you.
That was me. That was me. So I don't like buying like really heavy textbooks, like 6-7 pound textbooks. So I'm always like clicking, making sure they're like 3 pounds or under. I don't know, if possibly like if there could be a slider so that any book over a certain pound doesn't show up on eFlip.
So first off, let me clarify. The calculator that's there does have the weight in it, and it does factor in the inbound shipping and Amazon's fees as well. So a 6 pound, hold that one up real quick.
Yeah,
I think that's
so
a
like this
7 pound book,
this
right?
is pretty heavy.
Now, if this was $10 merchant fulfilled and 40 Prime, would you still buy it? Or
Probably
you would skip it because it's 7 pounds?
I would skip it just because of my postal lady if I buy like a bunch of these.
Oh, so you're trying to help the postal
I'm
lady. It's less about profit. So the calculator is going to give you the profit you need.
True.
No, I haven't really thought about trying to be nice to my postal worker.
Maybe I'm too.
All right, we need to have a T-shirt. Instead of save the whales, it's save the USPS lady.
Exactly.
There you go.
No more buying any books.
Have a little stick figure. No, so part of the challenge of software, actually, I try and say it nicely. We went to a conference, Matthew and I asked the guy, there was somebody that had a different software, and I asked him because we had like a custom need that we wanted, and he just flat out said, "No, we can't do something just for you." He was very abrupt about it, and I was like, that's rude, but I'm like, it's the truth. So I'll say this, you're the only one that's asked for it, and so at that point, I always listen to the ideas, and I go, yeah, I could see why you'd want that, and if enough other people keep coming, so if you watch this video and you want it, hit me up,
leave a comment,
and if enough people actually approach me, we do it. But the other thing we're trying to balance is if we add a lot more filters in there, it makes it confusing for other people. So we try and balance that. It's got to be simple, useful. But I did read that, and I thought, yeah, we could add it, but we'll wait and see if it keeps percolating. Makes sense? Yeah.
So I'll definitely give you a shout out for good customer service.
Cool.
Like a lot of sites, they'll just like send you to their FAQ, frequently asked questions.
Yeah, it's like automated. You're like, no,
just
I had
like,
a question. Just answer it.
Exactly. So
we're
good
real
customer service though.
John helps with support as well. Matthew does it sometimes, and yeah, that's what sets us apart. And if you email me, our customer service team, I'm gonna reply. If you took the time to ask a question, we actually hit you back. So that's how we roll. So
like I have a scouting subscription for my girlfriend, but she only goes maybe like 2 or 3 times a year. So would it be possible to have a subscription where like, let's say you pay $5 and you get to access it for like 24 hours? We do that one-off right now. Oh, you do? So a couple things that we do that competition doesn't. Again, we are scouters. We understand some of the pain points, and so we try and make that better. We've got a couple things right now. One, we got a TMode, which I was showing Steve yesterday. Kind of blew his mind. But TMode, you can hire like a child account or a sub account under you. It's month to month, so you can pay $10 for live only, $30 for database and live. So pretty good discount off regular. You can do that and then assign that to her for just 1 month. If she needed it for a day, you could just message our team. We'd set you up for a day and probably just send you a PayPal bill for $5. We could actually do that. We'll do that one-off. The other part, if she wants to go scouting without you, which isn't as much fun, but if she did, for example, you could actually let her log into your subscription on her phone. You can't do it at the same time. It'll start booting you off.
But other apps will tie you to one device, and if you want to change, it's a big hassle, and they yell at you.
Yeah,
like,
I've heard. I've never done it, but I think you have to email Scoutly or something.
It, and they'll yell at you like, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah.
It's their, they think you're trying to cheat them. For us, if you want to log into another device, have at it, do it. We'll kick you out of the first one. We only want you in one at a time. But if she wants to go out and scout for a day, just while you're working or doing something else, have at it.
Okay.
So we're a little more flexible around here. Again, we're sellers first, so we understand your pain points.
Sweet. Let's see. So I know I think I saw in one of your videos you're going to be releasing the OCR code soon. Will it be able to read like old style book fonts?
You mean like this?
Like
it'll read most fonts as long as there's an ISBN written.
Because like with the Scoutly one, it'll read these fine, but like I don't have any examples probably, but you know how like older books,
we could teach it to do it.
Yeah.
So
it'll only read like times.
You'll be able to tap the ISBN. You'll bring that up. You just put the box right over top of it. When it's not moving around, it's not getting good light. That's a bad example, but it'll be able to read that.
Cool.
It'll try and read Schwab Publishing right now, but there you go. It grabbed it. So there's your book.
Awesome.
So it can do that. It reads most fonts. If not, we'll teach it. We should be able to teach it too.
That's the only problem with Scoutly is like some of the funkier looking fonts it won't pick
that's
up,
because just the native plugins you're using only can read so many fonts.
Okay.
So, yep.
Let's see. So I was watching some of your videos about the TMode.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. If I were to hire a scout, I would definitely want them like hidden mode. I wouldn't want them seeing the prices.
Yep.
But probably the issue in my area is
books are variable priced.
Yeah, like textbooks, like some thrift stores price them like $10 to $15, and then some of the regular books are only $4. Same with like even library sales. Some of them are like $20, $30.
Yep.
Rest are $2. How would you go about putting like a initial like cost of goods?
There's not a great way. One way you could do it is we could put a number on it that says go ahead and accept it up to $5, and you can set your return on investment, right? So you could do that. The challenge is people don't want their scouts seeing all the data, and so if it said buy it up to $20, then they don't. That's a really expensive book, and now instead of the $2 they were going to pay, they might put it in their pocket and take it away, right? So if you're going to trust somebody enough to show them that data, then I would actually recommend not using hidden mode. Teach them to look at it, make a decision, or be able to kind of change the buy cost and edit it and do it that way. Okay. So there's not a great way. Right now we've optimized to keep it very, very simple. And so if you set them on hidden mode, they can't change their triggers, they can't change their buy costs. People have asked for it and we'll probably relent and go back on it. But right now we've kept it very basic. What we don't want is somebody that's older or accidentally messes it up and goes in and changes all this stuff, and now everything is accept or everything is reject, and then you just wasted all that time. So we try to keep it as simple as possible. That's what we optimize for first, and then as people come back and go, it'd be nice to change the buy cost, or books are different prices. We get it. We understand the market. So there's probably a way to do it better, and that's what we'll try and do as long as we can keep it simple.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll go on to some random book questions.
Okay.
So this is so for books ranked under 100.
100 or 100,000?
100.
Okay.
So like super quick selling. Let's say Amazon's on $12.99. I can price them at like 25 and they sell.
Yep.
Just have you noticed that too?
Yes.
Okay.
So what you're saying is the lowest used price might be $8. Amazon's on it for $12.99.
Yep.
And the lowest prime is like 25, which you'll see sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you're like, hey, I'll match that price, see what happens. So what happens is the buyer is buying through the buy box. So they go in, they're just conditioned to believe used books are cheaper than new. So they're not looking at the new buy box or Amazon's price. They're going, I want used. They almost always buy from the buy box. That's where most of the traffic goes through. They just simply go add to cart, like Greg Murphy says, like a monkey. They just click add to cart and the book shows up. So if you have the used buy box, even if it's more expensive than Amazon,
what they're in stock too. Yeah, it's weird.
So, and it's kind of the rule of large numbers. So people say like, well, don't list a book higher than Amazon, which is usually the case. That should be your ceiling. And then someone else like you will go, well, yeah, I've sold them a little bit higher than Amazon, so that's my new strategy. That works when the rank is really good. A rank of 100, that's selling probably a couple hundred copies, probably several dozen for sure every day. And the more customers coming by, the more likely one of them is to just go, boom, click, add to cart. So would that work if the rank is 1 million and it sells once a week? Probably not. Maybe 1 out of 1,000 customers would actually make that mistake or just believe that, right? But on something that's selling a couple hundred copies a day, yeah, weird things happen.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't think that's a very solid strategy to employ for all of your books, but certainly for ones that go faster, it's a great way to extract a few extra dollars.
Yeah, cool. Also, so I've heard, should I be deleting my inactive Amazon inventory periodically?
Probably.
And if so, how often do you think?
It's not that important. So if one is your IPI score, so your inventory performance indicator, I think, and all that has to do is stay above 350. So if you're well above that, and for books, it's hard to get way above that. But if you're 400, 450, you're probably fine. But if you're starting to get close, you can clean up old inventory. The other thing is every once in a while, there will be like IP or intellectual property claims. So the rights owner on a book, Weight Watchers came in and shut them all down. So we used to sell Weight Watchers books, we'd get them and they had decent FBA prices. We got a little notification from Amazon that says, hey, you've been on this listing, which we weren't anymore, but we still had old listings there because they just quantity of 0. And they said, we're kicking all the sellers off of it. We didn't really get in trouble. It didn't really matter, but that might trigger some sort of, rules from Amazon. So it's probably not a bad idea. I wouldn't go in religiously and spend time every week deleting numbers, but it's not a bad idea to clean up your old listings.
Good to know. Also, like multiple ASINs, I've heard various different things. Like, so some popular books I'm finding multiple copies a week.
You know why? Oh, sorry. Multiple copies listed on Amazon?
Like, well, if I go sourcing, maybe I'll find five.
You'll end up with 5 of this book and list them over the course of 3 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Am I allowed to have multiple copies in the same condition listed?
Yeah. So Amazon's terms, you're supposed to match the original SKU. But for me, I track all my sources. So this might be for a Goodwill. This might be for a library I'm selling on consignment. This might be an e-flip purchase. All the same book, all in good condition. What'll happen is every once in a while you'll see this. There'll be a listing and there's 6 prime prices and they're all different prices, all the same seller, all the same condition. That's not supposed to happen, and Amazon usually suppresses the higher priced ones. And if you ever see someone on it, you can actually reach out to Amazon. They will suppress the other listings. They only show your cheapest one. So you're supposed to match the SKU. It's really not a big deal. I've never been slapped on the wrist. We list.
I didn't know if that was
I don't know if ScanLister does it, but an Exceller list, if I list a book, it'll say, hey, you've listed this before, and it'll show your SKU. And you have the option to say, hey, use this SKU again. But if I'm selling for consignment for a buddy, I'm not going to list this book that I just found at Goodwill for my buddy under his account, right? I'm going to make a new SKU. So technically, you're supposed to list under the old SKU. We don't do it. We got some books that we've got 40 or 50 different listings for it, and some of them are still active. Just make a new SKU. You're going to be fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I think that's one of those, it's not technically by the book, but we've never been in trouble for it.
Cool. So how do you feel about book sales that say some books have been removed to sell online?
Doesn't bother me one bit.
Doesn't? Okay.
Who's doing the removal?
You don't know, yeah.
If you're watching, I'm not trying to throw shade. It's usually friends of the library, or it's a vendor they're working with. And I know even Goodwill sell online. Does that mean you can't find good books?
True.
Not really. So usually they're merchant fulfilled. So if you're FBA, that leaves you opportunity. Secondly, they're usually lazy and they don't do type-ins, and they might not scan all of them. So some of our best sales in Denver, I talk to the ladies that run the sale or the guys that run the sale, and they say, yeah, we work with an Amazon seller. They come in, we scan all the books, they take all the best ones. They showed me the triggers they're using, and theoretically there shouldn't have been much meat on the bone. And we go in there and find hundreds of books. So the books are still there. Always try. If you end up with a sale that is always picked over, maybe they're really good at it, and kick the dust off your feet and go somewhere else.
Okay.
But that wouldn't deter me. I might not fly to that place or drive 6 hours, but I wouldn't have a problem going in and doing it.
Gotcha. And kind of following up, the ones that say no scanners allowed on preview night. Have you found that they actually enforce that? Or?
A lot of times you can call and ask, and a lot of times that's just a box they checked, and they're like, oh no, it's fine, bring your scanner. And those are great because you might be the only one there. And then also just ask hey, why do you guys not allow them? And usually it's either because they sell online and they don't think you're going to find anything, or they've had bad experiences, or they want to protect their actual customers. And ask them about it and say, hey, I'm not rude, I'm not pushy. Is it okay if I do it? Sometimes they'll make an exception, but call and ask on that. Definitely don't go in and start scanning because they will throw you out. And it's just poor form.
Yeah,
exactly. I think booksellers get a bad enough knock as is. There's enough slimy ones out there. Don't be that guy or gal. So
okay, cool. Yeah. So 2 more questions, and this is an example. So I always label my books when I do an Amazon shipment.
So
but
you're effing SKU, as Steve says.
effing SKU in it. So If I don't though, like, see how this, I don't know if you can see on this book.
So we got lots of barcodes on the back.
Yeah, it's got this. So what I would do is I would cover this, put it over this. But if I had Amazon do it for me, do I have to peel this off before they do it, or can they scan? Because
it's a 290
it's a
number.
290 one, yeah.
They should be able to scan it.
Okay.
I'm not actually sure on that. A lot of times we'll send books without barcodes too and have Amazon do it. We almost always label ours. I think you're supposed to have something scannable for them. Otherwise, they don't know what book it is.
Because like the manual lookup ones, like am I allowed to just,
I also think process of elimination. They're going to take your box and they're going to scan everything they can and end up with 2 books, and they go, oh, introduction to project management, cool. I would leave this scannable. I bet their software can read it. I bet they're sophisticated. I actually don't know the answer.
Okay.
But I think you'd be fine. Worst case, they slap you on the wrist and say, don't do it again.
Cool. And last question.
All right.
So like on a lot of like these books and like a lot of music books, they have the ISBN one, but then they have
UPC.
a 7 one. That's the UPC, right?
Yep.
Is there any way of making a like Scout IQ, let's say, that could pick up this and convert it to this?
Those don't connect, but actually Scout IQ will read that.
It will.
So
really?
if it's been listed on Amazon under a UPC, let's pull it up here. It'll actually do a live lookup, and it actually found it.
It did, okay.
So you guys can see it's the right book. It'll actually, so that's a live lookup, you can tell because the picture's there. Let's see if the ISBN is there. ISBN's in our database.
Is in the database one.
UPCs are not, but a lot of times Amazon's smart enough that you can actually look it up that way. So if you accidentally scan the wrong one, usually it'll show up still. Yep.
Cool.
So, cool.
Good to know, man. That's all the questions I have
all right.
for you.
Not too much stuff. Hey, thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for the beers, and hopefully that helped with some book questions.
Definitely.
Cool.